That was the one that was required for the USDA. This is the one where we're requesting the county. Oh, thank you.
Hi, how are you?
There's pictures just in case. So Commissioner Lau, you want to start there? Yeah.
The nice thing about it, that those name cards are going to think it's us.
Right.
I need to take
Thank you.
That's not bad.
I heard it go. What Joe, you know I know everything. Yeah, that's always a pain. In the morning, it comes to that.
We'll be fine.
How you doing? Everything's recording. We already, we were looking on that for at least an hour.
All right.
Well, I want to welcome all of you here. The purpose of this meeting tonight is to discuss maybe the hospital association taking the ownership of the hospital and the land underneath it. And so we just want input from the community. They need to go after a loan. They can't get the loan unless they own the land. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we need to decide whether that is something that we can do or something that we don't want to do. So I'm going to turn it over to you all. You make your presentation and we'll entertain questions. If you have questions, you need to come up here to the podium, to the microphone, so that it picks up on the camera and makes every life easier for Tom. So, thank you. With that.
Thank you, Commissioner Loudon. Welcome, everybody. I want to introduce you to our team that's here today. Over to the far left is Kim Lucero, our Director of Planning and Development. To my left, Mandy Schaefer, our Chief Nursing Officer. And to my right is David Rollins, our Chief Financial Officer. And of all of the board members that are represented here tonight, would you mind just standing and introducing yourselves?
I'm Jeannie Dunn.
Stacy Porterfield.
Jody Darwin.
Kelly Manninger.
Dan Berry.
Catherine McGregor.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. I think you've all got a copy of the short little packet packet we're going to talk through this evening. The purpose of this meeting and presentation is, like Commissioner Loudon said, is to request that the county transfer the title of the hospital property to the Trinidad Area Health Association, which is the 501c3 that operates the hospital. We currently have, and I should have included this slide, we currently operate those facilities on under a long-term lease with the county. We've got 85 years remaining on that lease, but we're needing to take title to the property to collateralize our facility project loan. The second page has a quick overview of our project. We're building new, about 34,000 square feet. Brand new emergency department, a little over 3 times the size of the current emergency department. A new imaging department that is not only bigger but also consolidates all the imaging modalities in one space. Than the current size. 4 fewer beds. We're going to have 14 all private rooms, but the rooms are about 50% bigger than they currently are. So much nicer space for patients and their families. So again, our request is we're requesting that the county transfer the title of those hospital facilities to us to allow us to move forward with our construction project. And I want to iterate that this is not really our preference. We enjoy the structure as it is. It allows us to do some things we won't be able to do under under the proposed future structure. But it's required by USDA that we have title to the property so they can collateralize all this new construction space for the loan, as you can imagine. Next are just a couple facility renderings. The first is the view from the east side of the building. You can see over to the right is the inpatient unit. There's a mirror of that wing right where all this new construction is. So that wing in our plan gets demolished and buried. Front of the building with the emergency department, public entrance over on the left, the emergency department on the first floor and the inpatient unit on the second floor, imaging and the new central utility plant that runs all this spaces behind it. There's also a tentative facility project budget. We've got about $36.5 million, although there's a lot of dollars in here that won't end up being financed by the USDA. A lot of that is restructuring all of the hospital's current debt, which isn't much, a little under $3.5 million. We're refinancing the buildings we own at a much lower interest rate with the USDA. In the construction number, there's about an $800,000 contingency on the construction side. We've got a $1.75 million contingency on our side. $1 million of the $2.2 million in equipment is an MRI. The rest is furnishings and equipment for that new space. One of the columns, the second column from the left, the equity construction loan period, a lot of those costs we're going to pay as we go. Capitalized interest during the term of the loan, a lot of our costs, appraisal, years, even at a low interest rate, so we're going to pay a lot of those. Hope to plan to finance it today just a little over 30, or is it?
30, just under 33 million will be in total finance. It'll be about 30, just under 30 million of new financing.
So that's our request. Again, it's not wouldn't be our first preference, but USDA is required to be able to collateralize that new construction that the entity that they're loaning $30 million to has title to that property, as you can imagine. So any questions, discussion, concerns?
Is the health department, the property that the health department sits on, is it included in that?
Is the property that the health department sits on, is that?
It will not be. It will be carved out of this agreement, so the county will still have title to that building and will allow an easement for health department employees.
Is the property that it sits on, is that county owned property too, or no?
Yes.
And the same is true for the South Central Council of Governments. Their property and land is also separate on title and done the survey.
Hey,
I invited some folks that asked questions to me about this, and I invited them to come, but I guess they didn't, so I'm gonna ask it on their behalf.
they tend to not do that.
The elephant for a lot of these folks in the room is, the question to me is it gonna be a $30 million upgrade for the facility and the facade? Or will we, along with it, will the services be more than they are now? Now, is there certain tiers of hospital qualities, and are we gonna go up with that tier?
Right, so we think about facilities and services sort of separate. It's important to have good quality facilities for whatever services you render. And so we're making lots of improvements in the services we offer there. We're making some difficult decisions to have a more robust general surgery program. There was an article in the paper, I think, today about our new orthopedist. Hundreds of orthopedic referrals have been leaving our community that'll get to stay home now. So we think about those two as separate things. We're primarily, in this phase of the project, trying to improve and more adequately provide space for patients and families.
And the reason they are asking is because they have to go to Pueblo for a lot of the services they like to have here.
Right.
So would that something down the road going to be?
Right, so general surgery and orthopedics and lots of things we'll be able to utilize this space to more adequately deliver some things that we haven't in the past, although they don't quite go hand in hand.
Okay. I'm going to put the commissioner hat on now, and I can't remember, is Mount San Rafael a 513C?
Yes.
Okay, so it won't come back on the tax rolls for property
Right.
taxes.
In the remodel, is there an OB department that's planned in the future?
There will not be. That service has generally left smaller rural communities for a whole constellation of reasons, and I don't expect that ever to return to a small rural hospital like ours. We were actually one of the last small rural hospitals to remove that service, and I wasn't involved in that decision, but that's something you saw beginning sort of in the early 90s in small rural hospitals, just for quality, cost, lots of different reasons. Physician coverage, malpractice.
Will this preclude you from getting any more DOLA grants?
It will. So part of this request is that we finish out our current DOLA project, so we're requesting that we take title maybe sometime next summer. Anytime during the construction process is fine, we just have to have title of the building before we close our USDA loan.
Okay, I'm going to play a little bit of the devil's advocate here. If we don't give you the property, what happens?
Well, we don't have any options to finance this project at a cost-effective rate. We haven't really looked at options beyond the USDA. The blended rate with the USDA is really, really good. We'd have to go to, I guess, the bond market. I'm not sure where we would go get other financing.
So according to our advisors, with that, every bank is wanting anything close to this magnitude, they're wanting collateralization of the property. And that would require, if the county maintains ownership, the county would have to actually give permission and would have to actually collateralize it. And that's why it seemed the best route for us was for us to have title collateralized, therefore no actions come back.
Okay, so this is very imperative. You can't really go forward without going to the private market to try and raise that kind of money.
Right. And they'd still probably have collateralization issues.
So if anything goes wrong, USDA will take that property, is that
Yes,
correct?
just like any lender would.
All right. And
Or they want to have, I think they want to have that trigger pull. I don't know of any instance where the USDA has ever come in and taken back a small rural hospital. They don't have any interest in that.
yeah, right. Nobody would want it when we got to that point. I understand that part of it. So, well, I'm gonna make a bit of a comment here in that even though people may perceive that, well, we want something bigger, we want something better, if it's hurt to do anything economically, schools, to really grow the community. I mean, we may always want something bigger, and that's good, that we do want something bigger, but if we have nothing here, it scares me a bit that we could just either go down or we could stay the same. And I think if we haven't got good health care, you're never going to grow because people are not coming.
Right.
So it's a decision that we have to make, but I think we have to weigh a lot of different options as to look at the community, what that means to the community if the hospital is downgraded or is unable to really function at a good rate. And I understand that, I mean, you think, well, the hospital's 50 years old, you know, at my age, 50 doesn't sound that bad. But I understand that, you know, things have changed, and in 10 years, you're probably going to say, you know, we need some more. But I think we really need to take a look at if we have no hospital here, or if it's downgraded or doesn't, we have to look at that as what it does to the community. That's just a comment, and that's personal comment.
Right. And I think us doing nothing has more risk to that outcome than us doing this project, Commissioner.
Well, also on a personal note, I think in order to have a viable community, we need health care. 50's not looking that bad for my age either, man. But is there any plans in where this hospital can be a destination? We got a lot of small communities. The hub of the wheel. Plans of having specialized health care. I know recently there's an orthopedic surgeon that's coming to town. Is there any other specialists where we can attract, or you can attract individuals to come to Trinidad to have their services done instead of going to Pueblo?
Right. So orthopedics is probably the biggest piece we've not had in place for a lot of years. We're working to develop a more robust general surgery program, so even though we currently have that service, a lot of patients still leave the community. You know, just with our population size, there's not a lot of other specialties that we can support a full-time, say, cardiologist or nephrologist, but we always look for opportunities to expand that when we can. It's just the economics sometimes don't work. County population of 15,000, even when you include the outlying.
Mac touched on an issue about collateral, and we've had this discussion, but I'd like you to possibly explain to the community or to the public here. We've talked about the expansion of the Medicaid program and how that's how rural hospitals come out of the red over the years. What parameters would you guys have in place, or so you guys would not default in case the Obamacare or the Medicaid expansion goes away?
Right, and so we've actually, and I may let David speak to some of the sensitivity analysis that our accountants included, and we're required to have a feasibility study completed that sort of forecasts all the revenues and costs associated once we occupy this new space, and they also put in some sensitivity analysis that I don't remember exactly what those were, if volumes changed significantly. And even though this is a big piece of debt we're taking on, we have capacity far beyond this. You know, we talked for a long time about, well, maybe it's not the right thing to spend $30 or $35 million on that campus. You know, sort of on the top of a hill, isolated in the middle of a residential area. Maybe we just need to build a new hospital out on the interstate somewhere. And we just didn't think that would be or the board didn't think that would be a very responsible decision for us to go kind of overextend ourselves. So this is actually the very conservative approach. And David, do you want to speak to kind of Medicaid expansion and what sort of cushion we've still got even after we build this project?
Yes. So with Medicaid expansion, that was in 2014, and even in 2013, we were already seeing improvements. We had improved our revenue cycle, we had improved our outpatient services, we refinanced a lot of our equipment leases so that we own stuff instead of just continuing to rent. So we'd already made some major restructurings. If Medicaid expansion was to go away, you know, it would hurt. You know, it probably take us down to probably close to a break even if they just went away and didn't replace anything. The talk from the state is, you know, there's a lot of states that before the expansion, they expanded Medicaid on their own because it's actually cheaper to expand Medicaid in the state than it was to have, than to not have all the uninsured. So the state last year passed the Hospital Enterprise Fund, which is the hospital private fee. So all the hospitals pay a tax into it and it gets matched at the federal level. That part would still stay because that wasn't necessarily, the match part was part of the ACA, but they already had that. And that's been around since 2006. So we'd still be in good shape, we'd still be okay, but it would hurt, there's no doubt about it.
And y'all remember the first 4 months of 2017 when the new administration was trying to repeal the ACA in a whole bunch of different ways, and I just don't think that there's any appetite in Washington or in this country for us to go take some steps back. Concerns that Medicaid expansion is going to go away, state rates over time as they have to pick up an increasing share of that Medicaid expansion population. But we like to feel like we do a good job in the hospital. We removed an awful lot of this, keeping our staff. So I think we're doing a lot of right things. We have great board leadership, so we're thankful for that.
From a feasibility and metric standpoint, when our auditors did the feasibility study, you know, they came out and said, you guys have great balance sheet. I mean, we have positioned ourselves over the last 5 years to be able to do a major improvement to our facility. So we'll be the last facility in the state who's done a major remodel or a new hospital in the last 50 years. Leadville waited until it was almost too late. I mean, their facility was falling down around them, and they closed, and that's when the taxpayers then had to step in. We're trying to keep ourselves ahead of that. There's ever been no major improvements to our facility since it was built. And we still have original boilers. So that's part of this whole project.
My question to you is, right now you guys have a lease with the county. So at this point, you guys are asking them to give you the land, and so that lease would be gone, there would be no repayment at all.
Well, there's no payment now.
So the lease is just
It's a nominal $1 a year.
okay. And is there any plan to reimburse the county for that property at any point?
No, we hadn't expected to because the property was actually deeded to the county. So I don't think the county has even paid anything for it.
Well, it's still, you know, the public's interest.
And that's it, right.
Right. So I'm curious where that would go. I mean, you know, I've been a nonprofit for a long time. There's a lot of money that goes in and out, and you know, everybody wants something for free. And I know, you know, us as a nonprofit, we do that type of stuff. You know, we went out to people to try and find stuff. But this is a governmental, I mean, the community, and I understand it's going to benefit the community. But is this just something? I mean, is it better to remodel that place than get a new piece of land, or you know, how's that all that going to work?
Yeah, so we did look probably a year and a half ago, maybe even closer to 2 years ago, we were evaluating what the most responsible option would be. And we looked at buying some land up at exit 18 and spending $70 million on a new hospital and clinic, and we just didn't think that was a very responsible thing to do. And so we're trying to make the best decision, be the best stewards of our resources as possible.
I just want to say one thing, that we don't charge it. I don't know, have you paid the $1 this year? But as a landlord, there are times when you have to go in and fix things. And so at this $1 a year, we're basically saying, you fix the things is that I don't think to have spent that kind of money. I understand where this is coming from, and yeah, you got an asset here, but we have never enhanced that asset. The enhancement has been on your part with the asset. So, yeah, it would be nice if you would pay us for that piece of ground, I mean, we would take it. But by the same token, we have never put anything in it, so. That,
The hospital was built in 1972. It was built with Hillburton grant funds and a revenue bond. The Hillburton grant funds had to go through a county or state entity, right, as passed through. So they gave us $1.8 million. The hospital then ran a revenue bond for a little over $900,000, and when the hospital paid that revenue bond off, the title had to go to the county as part of the Hillburton grant requirements. The Sisters of Charity are the ones who actually donated the land and the old hospital to the county, or to Tahoe at that time, and that's how the county came into possession of it, right? So the hospital has paid the Area Health Association. So, thank you.
And continuing on that point, HL, I believe if the county does provide the facilities and give them to Tahoe, it cannot be deeded back in if it goes into default with USDA, correct? Right. Okay, so USDA would take over, so they would collect. But on the offset of it too, though, the community, either they go and build it somewhere else, and the county has an empty building that we have to go and put hundreds of thousands of dollars in repairs into that they're going to be doing now. So that's the offset for Commissioner side.
And I would argue that it would be millions.
I'm cheap. That offset.
Thank you.
All right, open the champagne.
Commissioner Love, we'll hand it back to you.
well, thank you. I think this is the first step in this process, and I appreciate and thank all the people who came. To say there's going to be some more talking, and I just want to reiterate, and you said it, but make sure that the health department in that parking lot remains the property of the county.
Yes.
And hopefully you will put some money in and fix it up before we keep taking over. No, this is really, I mean, this is very serious, and it's very serious for our community, and we need to make decisions here, and I appreciate you all coming and laying it on the line for us, and thank all of you, and Paula, did you get the high beam?